All right, welcome everybody. I would like to call this meeting of the Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee to order a bit late. Sorry about that.
Do you want to zoom in so they can be seen?
Oh, sure. It's up there. All the way to the right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
We're zooming in closer to the folks here that you can see us better. There you go.
I'm always
Cool.
right.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you get me that one paper?
I'll get you the small table. Yep. There. How's that?
All right, so at the moment, we have 6 voting members of this committee present. Quorum is 7, so we've been advised that for the moment, we cannot vote on anything or make even any informal decision, but we're expecting 1, if not 3 or 4 more people to come within a half hour or so. So
Once you have a quorum, I would just announce or make sure it's in the minutes that you do not have quorum at this point, and then when someone else arrives, you can say so-and-so arrived, therefore we now have a quorum. Quorum.
okay, great. So in the meantime, I think we could do a little check-in. Can we go around and share, I think we all know each other, but could use a reminder. Name, pronouns if you want, department if you work in the county, anything else equivalent if you don't, and one thing about how you're doing today. I can start. My name is Veronica Pillar, chair of this committee. They, them pronouns. I am a legislator and I am recovering after a exciting election night last night. For other people, not for me. Pass it to Robert.
Hi there, I'm Rob Brown, pronouns he and she. I am an appointee to this committee from North Lansing. I am the finance manager at Cornell Cooperative Extension, Tompkins County, and outgoing director of financial operations for Lakes Goose, and general gadfly on human rights.
Annie Corman, county legislator, pronouns she, her. And I'm doing pretty good today. Having a little trouble breathing with the smoke outside, reminded of environmental things going on. But I'm really glad to see people I haven't seen in a while, a couple of us here in person, and so I'm doing pretty good. Good to see people remotely.
Since Zoom is not in a particular order, let's go to Nick and then pass it to someone else.
Sure. Hi. Excuse me. I'm Nick Bennett. Pronouns are he, him. I'm a communication specialist at Tompkins Workforce, New York, and a professor at Ithaca College. I am actually sick with I'm allergic to chocolate, and I had chocolate last night at a lovely event that I saw a few folks at downtown, and so I'm have been better, but I'm glad to be here. Why don't we pass it to Kate?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. That was a Learning Web open house. Feels good to see you. Yeah, Amanda Champion was there as well. Kate Jinks Booth. I am your director of Tompkins County Youth Services Department. Pronouns are she, her. How are we doing today? Is that what we're answering? I don't know what day it is of the week, so I think that's probably it's been a long week when it was a long week when it was Monday. So I'm looking forward to the weekend, but doing okay. So Dr. Clark.
Good afternoon. I'm Ken Clark. I'm director of the Office of Human Rights, he, him. Things are going okay for today. It has been a busy season for us in the office, but overall things are going well.
Awesome. And Dominic, do you want to share?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not on the committee, but listening in, hopping off, I'll hop back on in a little bit. Dominic Recchio, Communications Director for the county. I work in county administration. He, him pronouns.
Thank you. And Dominic, you said you wanted to listen in to discussions of something in particular.
No big deal. I can listen on YouTube afterward. Just I know we were going to discuss some of the poster campaigns or some of the things along that lines and however I can support those. So whether I'm here or not, I'll still support them however you instruct me. So keep me posted.
Cool, thank you. I think we can wait for you to come back, and also we need quorum before instructing you in anything. Taylor, do you want to do a check-in?
Oh, sure. I'm off camera, but I'm here. Taylor Spencer, I'm a deputy clerk for the legislature. And I staff this meeting, and I am she, her pronouns, and I'm well today.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. So let's see, still waiting on people. We will not do minutes approval until we hopefully have a quorum later. I guess we could discuss right now rescheduling the August meeting.
Veronica?
Yeah.
I was wondering on that, since we don't have as many people here, if I was wondering about like to do an update, like Dr. Clark has done, you know, some things for Juneteenth and LGBT Pride Month. I'm wondering if you want to do that update or
Yeah, that's a good idea.
is that okay?
Yeah, Dr. Clark, not to put you on the spot, but if you want to talk about anything you've been doing, I will. One thing that Nick said reminded me is that I know one relevant event was that our Office of Human Rights and the New York State Office of Human Rights, and I think some other agencies hosted a fair housing event on Monday that I went to. Well, I went to part of it. And I think it was really good and informative, and Ken was there, and also Larry was there. So I got to meet him in person for the first time.
Oh, Larry, yeah.
Also. But I know, Dr. Clark, are you there? If he has stepped away, Nick, would you want to give an update on the Disability Employment Summit now?
Yes, so if you recall from it might have been our last meeting, might have been the meeting previous to that, so second to last. But I had discussed my department at Tompkins Workforce Office Employment and Training, Workforce Development, that we are putting on a disability employment resource summit. Originally, we had that slotted to, I think it was actually going to be going on at the end of June or beginning of July. I can't remember. So we have actually postponed the date. It will now be in October, which happens to be Disability Employment Awareness Month. So kind of pertinent there. And the big reasons there were, we're still looking for sponsorship, but additionally, some of our partner agencies have actually been putting on very similar events that we're essentially trying to look at ways that we can make our event unique and cover the needs that maybe are not being met by some of these other summits and resource fairs. And so I can actually pull the date up. I had closed my Outlook so I could focus better, but I want to get that date for y'all. So October. Bear with me just a second. It's always a little more awkward when like there's people watching and I gotta try to find something. Okay.
We're not looking.
Thank you.
I'm
October 20th. So it's a Friday. And we had originally planned for Cultivare. That was on it, and that was really our choice. We love Cultivare, the location. It's accessible as well. But the cost of the rental and the delicious menu was one of the barriers for us. That as well as the events coordinator has since stepped down, so we've lost our point of contact there. So long story short, the event is still going on. We've given it a much better date within disability employment month. And my department will be sending those flyers and more information as we get a little closer to October.
Cool, thank you. I do want to note now, Rachel Brand just arrived, so yeah, welcome, and we do have quorum. But on this topic, any questions or comments for Nick? And actually, if it's not too complicated, are you able to shift the camera so that Rachel gets?
Yeah.
Cool. Nick, can you say a little bit about, you mentioned other events that are sort of overlapping with this, like what some of those have been and addressed and what you're looking toward, just both out of curiosity and also out of like accessibility and disability and inclusion was part of what like this committee wanted to look at within the county. So
yeah, absolutely. So we Workforce co-sponsored, however you want to call that, with Unity House, I have the flyer somewhere. Anyway, it was an intellectual and developmental disabilities resource fair that was focused on it was open to the community, so it wasn't so much a like summit conference for agencies so much, which is what our October event is slated to be more like, but this, we called it the IDD Resource Fair, and that was a name chosen by Unity House, who is really the main host and sponsor. We held it at the YMCA. It was open to, this was, I want to say about 3 weeks ago, at the YMCA in Ithaca, and it was a dual resource fair with a variety of organizations and businesses, a lot of service providers who work with that population were there sharing resources about their services and what they offer. But it also doubled as a job fair, which was one of the main reasons why my department was there. And it was fairly successful for Unity House's population. They actually were able to bus or like van drive a handful of their folks to the event. But we discovered that apart from that small group who had been physically brought to the event, that there were elements of it that may not have been accessible to the community that the populations that we were really trying to serve. And so one of those pieces was considering, while the YMCA donated their space to us for it, and it really was a lovely space. It's, up the hill in Lansing, and may not have been as accessible of a location for folks to get to. We did do a huge advertising campaign for it, and I was seeing our flyers in my therapist's office and like different places that I was like, oh my gosh, this has made its rounds. But yeah, we really are having to re-examine even just wanting to offer these resources, but the method of being able to bring those resources to our populations, to our community. We're basically re-examining that, and we, like our department was thinking, okay, well maybe for the future, we're going to try to do something at the library, the Tompkins County Public Library. And so I'm really terrible with my dates, but I want to say September, we are also co-sponsoring a reentry, recovery and mental health resource and job fair summit that will be at the Tompkins County Public Library, that we are hoping, we're kind of going about a similar method that we did with the YMCA fair, but trying to look at other areas of accessibility. It's not quite the same population, but there are a lot of intersections. And yeah, and I know Flick has done a number of, they attended the YMCA event.
And Flick being the Finger Lakes Independence.
Yes,
Center, right?
sorry, I speak in tongues. And Reuse attended there. I mean, a lot of folks, our lovely community partners attended. And so there has been an uptick of resource fairs and events that are focusing on those populations. And we're just trying to look at basically what is not being met, or what additional needs can we help provide for.
Awesome, thank you. Annie?
I had a question. It wasn't necessarily, we have to get into it now. I know we have some other things on the agenda, but maybe at some point to talk about, I know we had talked about this as accessibility issues, but maybe if it's something that's going to be like on our agenda, we want to have on our agenda, it's just to talk about, because I'm thinking, what are the things that you've learned? Because we often talk about having things more accessible, and I know I've worked with organizations, and what does the different levels of what that means, the different aspects of accessibility? Is it having more events that are more accessible, that are different places around it? Does it have to do with the facility and all kinds of things? And can people understand, having the materials or whatever in different ways that people could understand? Just all the different things. It just seems like a big topic that I think, I was thinking about the whole county and how can we improve our accessibility.
And if I may, I'm going to springboard off Annie there. Thank you for the updates, Nick. Really appreciate your work there, just for the record, and I'm looking forward to the October event. But on what Annie was saying about not necessarily for now, but things that we can be thinking about in how we can serve our community and think about resources for connecting. It just serendipitously happens that within the past month, through many of my different community commitments, I've been involved in some very lively conversations about thinking compassionately and intelligently about reasonable accommodations in the workplace, and how to manage them, how to communicate with the employees, how to be really sensitive and creative about how to implement accommodations, and how to educate businesses management on managing them respectfully, as opposed to broadcasting to the entire staff mailing list, so and so has epilepsy, so she has a seizure, right? So, all of which, in most cases, people are doing, trying to be sensitive, helpful, and supportive, but really aren't doing it right. So, I'm not going to get into that rabbit hole, but I think that could be a really interesting rabbit hole for us to get into ways that we can support our, disabilities within our community and the people.
And the people that we serve. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And there's so much to talk about there. Are you suggesting that we have like a standing agenda item that's accessibility issues and have something added for every meeting? I don't know if that's what you're suggesting.
No, I was thinking, I'm open to it, whatever people think. I was wondering, it's about a separate thing, to talk about, but maybe that's just because of my mind works that you put things on the agenda. But would it be a separate thing, you know, like, or a thing that we think about each agenda, that might be a different way to look at it. Well, it is a different way to look at it, but might that be more helpful? Because I'm just thinking, like, I came from a meeting where we were going over some different contracts, I'll say, and it was like he, him, and or she, him, and there's, you know, pronouns, binary pronouns, and, you know, and just thinking about, that's a thing, like, do we have this lens? Do we want to have this lens at each meeting? I don't know.
I don't think
I'm
it
open.
would hurt at all. I think it would be good to have, and there may be some months that there's not a lot to talk about, and it would be a short agenda item, but at least then, you know, we're thinking about it every month, every other month.
Yeah,
It might
I
help
think
us think
that
about
would
it
be
for
great.
each thing. we
that
talk
would
about.
ensure that it doesn't get forgotten, even if there's no particular topic. It could be like, okay, accessibility issues, nothing specific. Does anyone have anything to share? And maybe someone will, and if not, it like, at least it would be there every time.
It might be something worth talking to Dominic about too, because I wonder if there's a way we could collect information from people in the community about accessibility issues they have with county services.
It could be a survey. We're doing, yeah, we have the ability to do this, surveys now. That could be.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I didn't put this out there, you know, disabled persons that very, very regularly for good reason feel completely left out of the inclusion conversations. And just highlighting that, no, you're right here. Like we're right here.
Just like it's hard to get into this room. And, you know, sometimes, I mean, we have the push button, but, you know, just different accessibility issues
Yeah,
that we could think about for each thing. I know, like, say, for the Industrial Development Agency, when they talk about different projects, I'm pretty much the one and only, it'd be nice to figure out, like, how to, like, adopt it as a group and how to figure out how to adopt these things, you know, to ask these questions, you know, for countywide, because, you know, and I'm sure we've all had this, probably everybody here is like, you're that one person at that meeting that asked that, and I'm the one person that had the IDA that asked, so are you gonna have places for plug-in? You know, for people to plug in their cars, for electric cars, and so to be thinking things like that, rather than just waiting for that one person to have to ask that inclusion question or the accessibility question, how do we adopt it as a culture eventually?
yeah. If you start by doing that enough, someone will do it for you. Like a little while ago, I was in, I don't remember what meeting. You weren't there, but Deborah was there, and she was like, since Annie's not here, I'll ask something about electric vehicles.
Well, our job is culture shift.
Yeah, right. So would people feel good about having a standing agenda item that just says like disability accessibility, and we could put things under it or not as they come up for future meetings?
Yeah, it's just.
I was just gonna maybe word it accessibility, because it doesn't mean you have a disability for things to be accessible. You know, you don't have to have an actual disability.
This letter,
Sure.
She's just.
oh, okay.
And did you know we had a quorum now?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Great, okay,
I would
yeah, I
word it
just accessibility.
Yeah.
First, yeah.
Listen.
So Taylor, can we do that as a, an
I have
add to the default agenda? Awesome, thank you. And Dr. Leslie McBean Claiborne is here, welcome. Okay, where were we? Oh, I did want to say, Nick, thanks for sharing all those events. It's good to hear that a bunch are happening both for the attendees in the community, and it sounds like the sake of like bringing different agencies together, because that seems like across a lot of fields, a common theme is Tompkins County is there are lots of groups and agencies working on most issues, and they might be more siloed than is helpful. So the collaboration is good. And also shout out to the library building, which I've also recently heard anecdotally is like one of the most physically accessible places, both its location, like our public transit system could be a lot better, but that's the hub of it, and the wheelchair accessibility, accessible bathrooms. Thanks to the library and whoever did all the decision making that went into the building construction.
That was.
Okay, moving on, I guess we did say, but didn't come back to, Dr. Clark. Do you want to share anything about some of the diversity related events you've been involved in this month, like the Pride events and Juneteenth stuff?
And I think Kate has it.
Sure. Yeah, it has been in fact a busy month for us. Going on, actually, you could extend it back to May. We offered a program in celebration of Asian American Pacific Islander Month on May 22nd, I believe it was. Eugenia O from the Asian American Foundation. She's the New York City director for that organization, talked about the history of violence against AAPI persons and ways in which to address and combat that violence. I also was involved in a meeting with the New York State Division of Human Rights, which is working with putting together a Southern Tier sort of initiative to combat hate and violence in general. The first of those meetings was held in Binghamton last month. We are planning on having an event in the Southern Tier in the beginning of a series of events that will address these issues around September or so. We have another planning meeting coming up sometime next month, which is almost here. And so that's been another thing that I've been involved in, because the State Division is doing this in regions all across New York State. And so ours will be one of several such initiatives that will be happening, in which the state is helping to facilitate and work with regional persons who live within different regions of the state. On June 14th, for Pride Month, we joined with the Downtown Ithaca Alliance in hosting a showing of a documentary on Lorraine Hansberry. It was a PBS documentary called, Sighted Eyes, Feeling Heart. We had about 30 people come out on a rainy Wednesday night, which we were pleased with, given the conditions. And we had a talkback session afterwards, in which Samantha Shepard, who's a professor of media and performing arts at Cornell, basically provided some conceptual framework for the documentary and Lorraine Hansberry's life, and then we opened it up to a conversation with the audience. So that was another one of our events. Yet on Monday evening, we joined the State Division again in hosting a fair housing event and talking about contemporary issues in terms of fair housing, and speaking specifically to issues of affordability here in Ithaca and Tompkins County, helping people to understand what their rights are, within fair housing law, with, federally, but also in terms of New York state law. And that event was held at Southside. So it's been a busy month plus, but it has been, good and positive, and has enabled us to address some of the issues that are of immediate concern to the community, and also put some of our concerns within a broader national context.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Really broad variety of things going on. Anyone
Yeah,
have? Oh,
and more to
go ahead.
come. I said, and more to come.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Ken?
I'll just say briefly, I'm really, I'm sorry I haven't been able to go to many events this past month, but for 30 people to come out and on a rainy Wednesday evening, that's quite impressive.
Yeah, well, it was, one of the things that we were concerned about, particularly that day, and as I had been reading the forecast, I kind of look at the forecast the way General Eisenhower did on D-Day, leading up to D-Day, in terms of seeing, how that will impact an event like that. Also, too, I forgot, gosh, how could I forget this? The Juneteenth event was one such event that was also affected by the weather, which this year's Juneteenth event included a career fair and a second annual Black Business Expo, which was held at Southside. It was the plans were for it to be outside, but we had a contingency plan in the event of rain that we would go inside. And so we did not even get a chance to
Oh, you muted.
mute. Yeah, we didn't even get a chance to set up for the outside. So we went to the inside, and we had a really good audience. I would say anywhere between maybe 80 and those of you like Rachel and Leslie and others who were there might correct me. I would say about 80 to about 90 people who were at the event. And we had a really superb keynote address given by Sean Eversley Bradwell. And so the county city Juneteenth event was held on the day before Southside's annual event. So that would have been on June the 16th.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? If not, since we have quorum now, I suggest that we go back to the minutes approval for the April 26th meeting. Would someone like to move the minutes? Rachel moves, Annie seconds. Any comments, edits, questions? All right, seeing none. We do a roll call vote? Okay, all right, roll call vote. Rob?
Aye.
Aye. Rachel? Kate?
Yes.
Ken? Nick?
Yes.
Leslin?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that's unanimous. Thank you. Let's now go to the rescheduling of the August meeting. And the default fourth Wednesday date of the August meeting is also the date of the county employee picnic. Like, I forget at exactly what time, but definitely overlapping
In the afternoon, yeah.
So we shouldn't meet then, we should go to the picnic. Much more joyful, but so yeah, we do need to reschedule. And Taylor had suggested some dates.
Do you want them again?
I have them here.
Okay.
Yeah. Which are Wednesday, August 16th at any time. Sorry, they're all at any time of the day, but the dates are Wednesday, August 16, Tuesday, August 22nd, Thursday, August 24th, or Monday through Thursday, August 28th to 31st. So in short, we could do it 1 week earlier on a Wednesday from the default date. We could do it the day before or after the picnic date, or anytime the week after the picnic date.
So this, can you repeat those? The 16th, the 22nd, the 24th was another day?
Yeah.
And what were the next one?
And
28th.
28, 29, 30, 31. Yeah. And Taylor, you mentioned that all the days except the 16th, there's gonna be AV upgrades in here, but
Yes.
so does that impact, how does that impact this meeting
Nope,
that
we'll
happens
just,
here?
everything will still be held over
Okay, great.
But there might be working in this room,
here.
possibly. But the 16th wouldn't interfere with that.
Correct. Yeah.
I could do the 16th.
Works for me.
I much
Yeah,
prefer.
I could as well, and rescheduling to another Wednesday. And I've
Kind of keep.
I've built my other commitments around this. So Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thanks.
I wouldn't be able to make the 16th. I'll be out of the office that day.
Leslie, what did you say?
The 16th would not work for me.
Leslie? Or Nick or Kate?
I am good with the 16th.
I could do the 16th. I am out on vacation. I could also do the 24th and the 25th. The rest of that next week, I'm on vacation. So
16th is fine.
Okay, so 16th works for everyone here except for Ken. And it sounds like, is it worth trying to find if another date works for everyone here?
Were any of them Wednesdays?
Sorry, Kate, when did you say you were not gonna be around?
Towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the 25th and then I'll be gone the next 28th, 29th, and 30th. I'll be back on 31st.
Okay. And Rob, you said if Tuesday and Thursday are not good.
Usually not.
Okay. Why don't we tentatively say the 16th from 3 to 5 p.m. Does, I guess Taylor just tentatively saying that work, and then check in with the members who are not here.
Yep.
See if it works for at least most of them.
Yeah, and I can catch up.
Yeah, and if you have any updates, you could get them to me.
Okay.
I'll touch base with you before then.
So
Okay.
3 o'clock on the 16th.
Yeah, so just 1 week earlier, same day of the week, same time, to be confirmed later.
Same back channel. Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to set a date to have it confirmed?
Oh, sure, we will confirm this by this Friday. By end of business Friday. Cool, thanks, Taylor. Thanks, everybody. Moving on, what order do these go in? Let's look at the draft nomination form for the Leslie McKean Claiborne Strength and Diversity Award. I guess first, this wasn't specifically on the agenda, but has there been any update in finding the vanished plaque?
Who was looking for
I thought it was you.
Well, I know that there was one, I didn't find a receipt, but I did find correspondence where it was ordered and picked up. And I did watch the video, but I couldn't really see if there was something handed over or not, because it was far away from where the camera was. But I know that there definitely was one to be given.
Did anybody check in the office for the chief equity diversity officer? Because is that still empty?
It is still empty.
I'm just
I
wondering.
can't imagine it would be there, but I can double check
I'm
with somebody in
saying
county
just-
admin.
Just in case.
Dominic's here. Do you have insight into that?
The question is whether the CEDO's prior office space is occupied or empty. Is that correct?
If it was checked, if it was checked for plaque.
There was a plaque for Leslin when we gave her the award that she says that she doesn't have, but I know that we purchased one. So we're just trying to locate it.
And
The office was,
What, go ahead.
the office was checked / cleared out for the next employee that's using that current space at this time. I will double check with our staff to see if it's around, because that should be on Leslin's preferred wall.
Yeah.
And if it's not, maybe my next meeting or before, or maybe if we can't find it by, like 2 weeks, can we just order another one? Because we know where it was ordered.
I
They
think
have the order.
it's closed, but I'll double check. I'll double check. We can order another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to authorize that, or that's not very much money, so I don't know.
I don't know if
I doubt it. I can't imagine finance would have an issue with that.
And
As a finance professional, I really would not want to be bothered with the
Yeah.
organization. I just want to be.
Yeah, make sure it's where it needs to be.
Y'all know I'm easygoing and I am fine with a framed copy of the lovely resolution that Annie gave me. I got the scratched up version of it, which is really cool. So if it'll be an issue with finance, it's not a big deal to me. The resolution framed would be just as fine.
Well, we want to do it, and it's part of the tradition that we're starting, so we want to start the tradition
All right.
that way.
I will hush my mouth then.
Okay, so is anyone opposed to spending some WDIP money on a replacement plaque? An unspecified but reasonable amount?
Yeah.
Great, okay,
And I can take the lead on it.
okay, thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Dominic, for double checking if it is somewhere anyway. Okay, the award. So the Strength and Diversity Award was originally conceived according to the document. Someone who was actually part of that, unlike me, please interrupt me, as to be given out annually or quarterly, and it has been given out once about 18 months ago. But we could give some more if we get some nomination. So I'm set up to share my screen with the form if that's helpful. I see a couple of nods. Okay, or I think I am. This one. Okay, so I think you all like have the link and can open this and scroll around on your own for details, but just to give an overview, I think this draft, Rachel created it, I edited it. I don't know how you make it all pretty, but well done.
Kind of does it on its own.
Yeah. And so we have the basics of the award. This award seeks to recognize individuals, community groups, nonprofit organizations, and businesses within the Tompkins County boundary that have demonstrated outstanding achievements, a sustained commitment to the pursuit of cultural diversity and inclusion, and advocacy of basic civil and human rights in our community. And that language is just pulled from the award description. I ended up splitting the questions on here into 3 pages, like, oh, funky, there's a lag on the screen sharing. I'll try to not let that mess things up. And I set, like, this is a draft, this has not been published, but I've set all the responses to be not required, only so that it will let you go to the next page and the next page without complaining, so that, because it's asking for kind of a lot of information.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be good if people can jump around. And so I put that information here. The description of the award and the selection criteria is available at somewhere. I could not find a way to make a hyperlink in this, but someone correct me if you can. But I thought maybe we could make a easy to type URL if we put the description of the award on our WDIC website that exists and doesn't have much on it. Right now, I just threw it in a publicly viewable Google Doc, but those URLs are not acceptable. So collecting the name of person, group, or entity being nominated, their contact info, and this is all, like, you could freely change, but scrolling through it, just to clarify whether it's an individual, community group, nonprofit organization, or business, those are also listed in the award description. These items for why they should be considered for the award, these are all just copied verbatim from the list in the award description again, that says that the recipient must demonstrate at least one of these. And there's also another box. There, the questions sort of generally describe the nominee's contributions to the community that go above and beyond one's usual responsibilities. That is not verbatim from the award description. This page is basically verbatim, except for like rephrasing those questions from the selection section of the award description, where it requests to think about a project or activity this nominee is engaged in. And it sounded to me like that's pretty general, like anything they've done. And so this asks to describe it, talk about how does it address key areas of diversity, how is it implemented strategies. This is verbatim from the award description. What has been the outcome? This is also verbatim from the award description. A thing I wondered was, is it clear enough that these are examples of things the activity could have been done, but it's not like you have to pick one of the A, B, or C.
For example, yeah, makes sense.
And then just, is there anything else you'd like to add? And your name and contact info. And that's all that is there now. So I'd love to open for, I guess I don't really want to do like a detailed dive unless you see something glaring in here. But if there's like oh, I don't like this, this is problematic, we should add this question, it doesn't make sense to have a form at all, would love to hear it. Has thoughts?
I'm just going to offer thanks for doing this. And also affirmative praise for the spot that you called out where you deviated from verbatim job description. I think including the above and beyond language is really important. I mean, we could give this award to everyone responsible for DEI in their corporation in the county, but I mean, if they're not doing it, they should be fired. Right. So anyway, I am glad to put in the
Okay, Rachel put that in actually. Correct.
So, thank you.
Or it was there when I opened it. Cool, others?
I have a couple of quick things. Thanks, Rob, for
Yes.
going to the above and beyond.
Can you speak?
Somewhere in that, for me, it'll say above and beyond. Where did it go, Veronica?
Oh, yes, it was on the first.
There we go. Nominees' contributions to the community. What's missing for me in here, what I think probably needs to be in here, their contributions to the community and to the larger organization. Somewhere in there, their DEIJ contributions to the community, so that it's really focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice that go above and beyond. And then I think it's number 7. So somewhere in there, we put the EIJ. And number 7, key areas of diversity and inclusion. Inclusion is missing for me, such as recruitment, retention, county air department, climate. Because when we start talking about climate outreach, I think inclusion matters there. So that first line, how does the activity the nominee engage and address key areas of diversity and inclusion?
That makes sense, thank you.
And then the last bit for me is at the top of the description of the award. I so appreciate you all doing this. It makes me feel flushed and all over. Again, pretty important is the word equity somewhere up there. So commitment, 1, 2, 3, third line, sustained commitment to the pursuit of cultural diversity and inclusion. Equity is incredibly important. I don't want to make it too wordy, but somewhere in there, equity and advocacy of basic civil and human rights in our community. But if we can fit the word equity somewhere in there, that will round it out nicely.
Absolutely.
That sounds great. Word equity only appears once in the award description.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean we can't add it. So adding equity somewhere in the bit about commitment to the pursuit of cultural diversity and inclusion and advocacy of basic civil and human rights in our community.
Mm-hmm. Pursuit of equity, cultural diversity, and inclusion would be fine with me.
Great. Other feedback, comments, questions?
Just one question overall for you're probably gonna do this, but have a paper form also. Right?
Yes. Right, I thought about
Speaking
that.
about it, 'cause I forgot.
Mhm, yeah. What do you think that should look like? In terms of like, I mean, we could have a paper form. I don't know, where like somewhere physically in a county office, someone could come and pick up, but we could also have like on the website, wherever this is sent out and links to, also like a link to a printable
What I was thinking,
PDF that someone could write on or fill in or.
what I was thinking in my head is that to, you know, like,
Without computers.
right, employees without computers, or just accessibility, like, so you're not at your, maybe your work desk or something, or, but there's, you know, a lot of employees that don't have computers and don't have, like, say, a desk or something like that. So wondering about the old fashioned, you know, take like an envelope and you go with the forms in there and you like post it in different departments, because every department has to have a bulletin board I don't know if we're allowed to put them on the bulletin boards, but we could talk to departments about where we could put them up. And then you could, say mail it back to, I'm assuming everybody knows how to do it for Dropbox mail, but I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that you could just hand that to somebody even if you don't know how to do that,
Or we could, we could consider trying to make physical forms available in other places where our community already congregates.
right.
Thoughts that occur to me are the library.
Library, yeah.
And,
libraries around the
right.
county.
And we could also, for example, reach out to our area financial institutions, because many of us are banked and many of us go to our banks, just as an example. But places where people can find them without even knowing that that's what they're looking for.
And so thinking back to the county, like our front office, public facing areas of the community, like the clerk's office, and other places where community DSS, other places where people interact. Yeah, so maybe Dominic can kind of help us with that, a list of where you'd go physically, but also how to get the word out. Because I know municipalities, for instance, when the word gets out to municipalities, asking them to send that out. A lot of municipalities have newsletters that go out. If that could be a link in a little description, could be attached to that, you're getting out to a lot of people.
And we've got all of our town library, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But, I'm happy to brainstorm and stuff like that. But I would also say that myself, I am happy to ask the communications department or whomever else is appropriate to make those decisions rather than relying on us to distribute material over. Right, because I think that's a micromanage.
Exactly. Dominic, could you ask Dominic at this point how to?
We could, I mean, this,
Or are we
This
getting too
sounds-
much into the weeds?
Right, so we're talking about the application.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think this is good, like thinking about having the paper form and where to distribute it, and I think that we can brainstorm and also seek Dominic or whatever communications folks help, since they have already thought about how to get a message out to the community broadly. And I do just want to like double check and confirm that this award is, it's like the county has created it, but it could be given to anyone in not the county government, but like the bounds of Tompkins County broadly, and
And that's the way the description reads.
Yeah, that's how we.
Okay. I guess, Dominic, we don't need to get into the weeds, but are we saying anything that sounds off base to you or useless?
Nope, you are definitely on the right track for similar things that we've done in this vein. We do often make paper forms available. We use the libraries. I use municipal officials, email newsletter lists. I will add one thing of note without getting too far into the weeds. We do have a diversity and inclusion initiatives email newsletter list that the county created, and I have not found Jedi or others haven't sort of used that yet. And so I think I turned it off for the public to sign up, but there's 1,800 community members who said they're interested in learning more about that. So, we already have several areas that I would sort of use like that, stones to turn over. So I'm more than happy to support. And I could, after I do it, get the group back a list of where we place things, and we would create some short link, QR code, whatever, so we can track how many people are clicking it, or things like that, depending on where we place things.
Cool, thank you. That sounds great. That's awesome that we have a diversity and inclusion email list, even if it has sent 0 emails so far. But that does sound like a thing we could use. I also want to touch on what might happen after we send out this form and people hopefully nominate folks. So one question I would have is like, how often should we give the award, and should we ever like give honorable mentions or something? And I think that decision maybe could be kind of ad hoc and in response to how many submissions we get. I mean, we already aren't doing it on the schedule that was said, so.
Right.
But so I think that would be fine, but in terms of like how to select, should we make a selection committee? Who should be on it? Does anyone have thoughts?
I think that the setting a frequency interval for ourselves and sticking to it is actually pretty important here. And for that reason, I don't like the idea of quarterly. That would be pretty helter-skelter. And also, I think that if you give them out, you know, if you give an award like this out too many times in a given year, public perception cheapens it. Right. Whereas I want this to be something shiny. Personal opinion.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyone have thoughts on who should be the selectors? Like, should we create a whole selection committee out of the folks from the community? Should be it a subset of just WDIC, which is already itself a diverse representation of things? I certainly think it shouldn't and can't be a quorum meeting amount of WDIC members, because I don't think these discussions should be in a public meeting. That would be weird.
Yeah. It seems like putting together a selection committee is probably the best idea. And we could open that to people on this committee, people on Jedi. I don't know. I mean, we could open it up to other people in the community or certain organizations that do a certain amount of DEI work.
That sounds reasonable. Does anyone else have a take on, for instance, whether it should just be from within WDIC and Jedi, or if there's everything or broader than that, or if you have specific ideas of where to look for a selection committee person, like the diversity consortium. Also, Leslyn, would you like to be on the selection committee as the one and only person who could be pretty sure is not going to receive the award in the future?
I would love to be in the selection committee. Thanks for asking.
So I mean, I think in the spirit of inclusion, we should have our eyes on opportunities for inviting people from the broader community to participate. It does potentially open a can of worms for the outreach and selection, because as something new, it's not something that people are necessarily going to be aware of unless they're really paying attention for saying, hey, I need to be on that. And we could easily put ourselves off another 18 months looking to fill out the roster of the selection committee. So I think community inclusion is important, especially because we are a public body. But to be careful about trapping ourselves in trying to do so much recruitment and exclusion of recognizing their work.
Yeah, I agree with Rob's point. I think that just as our committee is comprised of county and community members, I think in like manner we should include community members as those eligible for the recognition. And I think it's something, my 2 cents, something that could be given annually. In that way, I think, again, to what in relation to what Rob said, that that way I think it does not diminish the award. It does not make it too regular, so to speak. In that sense.
I agree with you. Ken, shouldn't be more than once a year.
Yeah.
And I'll root for September. It's my birthday month. What can I say?
Well, your name is on it. You can say what you want.
Not like y'all don't have a whole budget stuff going on at the beginning of September, but yeah, I think annually, I think having community members involved is important, and representative community members. So whether we reach to the IAAA or the Latino Civic Association, those organizations that represent our LGBTQ plus community, or Native American Association or Indigenous Peoples Association, as much representation as we can get, not too large a committee, of course, but try our best to, hit some of those organizations. They may or may not have someone who's willing to serve, but in true lesson form, we try to capture as many of, the various representative groups as we can to be engaged and involved. Plus, they also know what people are doing, because often, you sit and you watch. I sit on another group where people make nominations and people write about the things that they did. And, I've done this and that and the other for, GIAC and the Black community. And I sit here going, when? So when you have representations from those various groups, they know when people are just making stuff up versus when they've actually been authentic about the work that they have done. And I'm more than happy to reach out to folks in those groups to see who, if y'all give me the wording, give me the language, and I'll reach out to see if people are willing to participate.
The Human Rights Commission mentioned for a group to
Now
ask.
it has been. That all sounds great. And thanks for sharing your perspective from the side of it, Leslyn. What is a reasonable number of people to be on the selection committee? I don't think I've ever been on an award selection committee, so I'll defer to others.
5.
5?
No.
Who said that?
I said it.
Good. I'm going to play that number today because I was in my head. 5.
All right.
All right. Any objections to 5? Okay, 5 it is. And Leslyn is one of them, so 4 seats to go.
Would you call that a committee or a subcommittee? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
Yes.
I'm just
It's not
called
gonna be
any
a
nomination
subcommittee of
committee.
anything.
It's just like an ad hoc. Maybe.
A focus group, perhaps. I'm just joshing.
Team.
Election team.
Election team, there you go.
There you go. Got away from that committee word. Okay.
Okay. Great. So I think maybe there's 2 next steps to happen at some point. One is like create a clear ask for people who might be on the selection team and then go find those people and finalize the nomination form and publicize it. What, and I am hesitating because I'm not sure what needs like voting approval, informal consensus, whatnot. And how much of this could be done, say, before our August meeting. Any?
Just
And Annie and then Nick.
brainstorming an idea, like, could this committee authorize the appointment of, like, say, the 5 people just for this year, so that by the next. Well, let's see. Would that help to speed things up? I know we still have the form and things like that, but. I'm just wondering how fast we could go, or by, because if we wait till the August meeting and want to do it by September, I don't know, I'm just trying to brainstorm. Maybe, that's a better idea.
Nick, did you have your hand up?
I did, but I was trying to answer my own question, which was if we had settled on a ballpark date submission deadline or presentation deadline, right? And I'm looking at it and it seems to be no. So
Not yet.
Rachel? Oh, you said
Oh,
not yet,
yeah.
okay. Sorry, I thought I cut you off. Yeah, I don't think so. I would imagine we should have probably at least 2 months between initially publicizing the award and a submission deadline.
Like 30 days to for submissions. Publicizing and the submissions due, and then 30 days for the team to. give
No,
us a
I
recommendation.
thought like 60 days between publicizing and the deadline.
Okay,
For submissions.
Because I think right now, this is not anything that's on anyone's radar, so it could take some
For the
time for
first time.
someone to encounter the announcement about it and think about it, and
Okay.
maybe tell someone else and.
Having a deadline is good, though. It gets people to take it seriously and get around to doing it.
that's what I always prefer is 30 days, because 60 days is like, you can keep putting it off. Yeah. What do you guys think?
That sounds like a,
I think that's too
disagree.
short, especially for the
Okay.
first time,
For the
just
first
because
time.
nobody even knows about it except for people who were around maybe when Leslie received it.
yeah,
Okay.
I would say it's not like, for instance, this is a much smaller application, but like the Community Recovery Fund application, which was pretty well publicized that it was gonna be a thing before
Mhm.
applications
So
open.
60 days.
And then our selection team can believe us somehow. To give recommendations on it.
Right, true.
Mhm.
Okay, so what if we came up with members of the selection team, potential members of the selection team between now and this next meeting, and then we can talk offline, like Leslie, me, Robbie, anyone who's got ideas of who to reach out for. So that we don't accidentally invite like 11 people. And then we can announce and approve the members of the August meeting. And in the meantime, if we make the changes that Leslie suggested to the form, and then also create a paper copy that would be like same exact questions, I think, just formatted so that it makes sense to do pen on paper. would people be supportive of? Is this something we could like start sending out prior to August, or do we need to like come back at the August meeting and agree on a plan? I guess I'm kind of asking you, Taylor.
You can do that.
Wait, do which?
Either.
Oh, okay.
I certainly think that we as a body should affirmatively approve selection team. Just as a procedural matter.
Yeah.
Also establishing their scope. Are they deciding who's receiving it, or are they recommending to WTIC?
Oh,
That is a great question.
I was thinking they would be recommended and then we vote.
okay.
I mean, that's generally the way we've done other things like this.
That makes sense, except at what point in the process would the recipient be told?
Well, they're watching this meeting when we approve it.
They'd have narrowed it down to one recommendation. So they wouldn't be here unless we went into, I guess, executive session. They wouldn't be here saying, here out of these 5 people, we thought one had done more. They would say we narrowed it down to this.
Right.
I don't know. But I haven't done this exact type of thing before. How about other folks? I mean, that's the way we do like the appointments to liaison committees. We don't go, oh, there was 10 people that applied. Here's the 9 that we didn't accept. Here's the one. We just get the recommendation. And then we vote on those at the legislature all the time. But this is a little different. It's a more. So I'm open to if other people have done this before, if they have recommendations.
Nick?
I wanted to ask Leslyn if she remembers were you informed ahead of time that you were receiving this award? And that's what I would, so I mean, I wasn't there as far as I remember. But in terms of it being an award, I mean, I would say that the individual finds out at the ceremony, right?
Advance notice is good because then they will show up.
Yeah,
Yes.
they wouldn't
Right.
be there otherwise.
I think
Where Leslyn, we knew she would be there.
Because she was running the meeting.
Right, she's chair of the legislature at the time.
I was thinking, right, we vote on it here, and then that person gets the award at the next or the legislature meeting that they're contacted, then at whatever meeting that they can make, that they do it at the next available time that they're available.
I guess that makes sense, because that also happens, where like someone is told they're gonna receive an award, and then
Yeah, they're told. ahead
and
of
it's
time.
still a
Yeah,
beautiful, wonderful ceremony in the moment, even if it's not a like,
It's not a surprise.
it's not a surprise party.
yeah, I think it's nice to let people know, because it also helps spread word. People get to, mention that, quite unlike what has been done to me. Where things just happen
Yeah,
while you're standing there. I think it's good to let people know. And Annie, to answer your question, just in terms of being, I don't remember what the question was now. Yeah, no, we do. I think it'll be fine to inform people about it.
yeah, and then actually inform the public, like it's on our agenda, inform the public, because then we're getting the word out. And then you can kind of say that if you know somebody, look for, information out next year that we're gonna be having this every year, or whatever procedure is. And then that person can bring either their family, friends, or if they represent an organization, they can come to that also. if they want.
Yeah.
Each past recipient has a future year's quota for the number of nominators they recommend.
And are you imagining the presentation would be like at the next full legislature meeting,
Right, if that recipient can come, if they can't,
or at the,
you have 2 coming up, they have them every 2 weeks generally. I think it's important. I'd want to be a little bit flexible for that person to be here, because that's, yeah.
Yeah, so Annie, I think about the Distinguished Youth Award that the legislature has given out. I don't know if you or Veronica were there when that happened, but we normally would let, whoever the young person know. And they knew that that award was always handed out at the second meeting of the month of the legislature. That's how it was advertised. Or was it the first? I don't remember. I think it was the second meeting. But we do let people know, these young people would show up with their family, and we were talking about it could be an organization if they want to, bring all their workers to, to come to the meeting to accept the award. It'll be nice to let people know ahead of time.
I had a question. Who should present the award?
Chair of the legislature.
Okay, just want to be clear.
That sounds good. I had a moment of fear that it might be me. I don't.
Well, I was thinking, yeah, past recipient, person nominated them, the chair of that committee, chair of the legislature, but yeah.
That makes sense.
Want to make sure we all know.
Yeah, and or whoever you all decide is fine. And whoever the recipient of the award will get a plaque. Is that what the idea is? Okay.
I was gonna bring that up because yours was unique because it was like a thank you for all of the work that you've done for DEIJ and a parting gift. So I think it was a quilt.
Yes.
And was supposed to also be a plaque. So that might be something we need to talk about. Do we want it to just be a plaque, or do we want it to be something else in addition to that?
So Rachel, appreciate that. I would like to offer a book.
Oh, I love that.
I personally would offer a book that has something to do with DEIJ, anti-racism, equity work. The first one I'm thinking about for whoever this award recipients will be, post-traumatic slave syndrome is a book that I would offer to whomever. It's a really good small read for folks, and encourage people to use it for conversation.
I love that.
Mhm.
I would do that every year that the award is given out. I will offer a book.
Useful,
personally.
meaningful,
She
specific,
will offer a book. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah.
and not expensive.
Right.
We better get her that plaque then.
No, I don't know y'all going through the whole thing with finance about trying to figure out how you could buy a book and gifting and non-gifting. And I think education around DEIG is important. And there are different ways that people can get that. So a book, a video, a subscription to Audible to get it, whatever it is, I would be happy to do that.
That sounds great. Thank you, Leslyn.
I do have one thing.
Oh, yes.
So at least a motion should be reported to BCP if we're not going to do like a resolution that has the recommendation in it. So just some sort of motion in the committee, and then it would be reported to BCP before it goes to pledge.
Sorry, this would be for the recipient of the award, or
For stating who won it.
Right. The whole process should be,
Process
Oh,
that
right,
we're
okay,
developing
okay.
now.
and also once it is developed, like,
Okay.
the recommendation at our committee at WDIC should have a motion. It should be a formal.
For the person who recipient.
Mhm. And then
Because
that would go to BCP for approval. and then-
Okay.
Because that's who WDIC reports to.
Yeah.
that makes sense. So wait, so you're saying that would be like in the future when, say, it's decided that like Joe Schmo is receiving the award.
Correct.
There needs
Once
to be a
your team
motion
is
of
created
The
and we
award to
know.
Joe Schmo, and then BCP approves, and then it goes on. Are you saying that is also the case for like?
And
any-
not you creating your subcommittee. You can
We
do
can
the
do
team.
that?
Mhm, Your
Okay.
team, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
In the process.
And I imagine the creation of the award went through that process already. Back
Yeah,
when we-
in order to give it out, we had to do that.
Yeah.
Hope so, because
So
it would have been
that's
reported to
right.
ACP, you're saying, yes.
So they should already be aware that it's something that we were trying to do,
Right.
even though we haven't done it again.
Yeah.
I've also got one more question that is not in the realm of things that I usually think about, but we've said plaque enough times in this meeting. Do we have any thoughts on the graphic design of the plaque? Is it just black with gold lettering? Just saying so and so receives the thing, thank you, with the county seal on it, blah, blah, blah.
Great question. I wonder if
It's not my
folks-
domain.
folks can contemplate this in the next couple of months and we'll revisit in
Yeah.
August. Thank you.
Yeah, like, not my domain, don't want to get into it, but it's a question.
Yes, good question. Okay. Great. So I think we're set with at least the outline of a plan to find a selection team, explain what the process will be, and approve the selection team at our next WDIC meeting. For the form itself, would people support, like, if no one has an objection now, would people support like an approval of this form to be sent out pending the mentioned changes Leslin said, and then maybe like pending a final check over email that no one has issues with it, and that would be this version plus a paper version.
Can I edit that a little bit? Maybe or amend it a little bit, just say that giving, like, people can give feedback and maybe like a subgroup of, like, say, say you and Rachel, we authorize you guys to give the final approval after any further email suggestions, something like that.
And give some space for the thoughts that just get it forward. And I think the form is entirely serviceable.
Yeah.
We'll get the job done. It's when we debrief the selection team after they've completed their process, they can provide ideas on how it worked or what they would like to.
Make it better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I suggest, going through with the finishing up the form or doing the final version of the form. Anybody suggesting edits to, are you okay, Rachel and Veronica? We authorize them to finish the form to get it posted out there with 60 days for the submission.
Is that a motion or is this an informal question?
Do we need to make a motion for that, do you think? To authorize this to get going?
It's an informal process, so if you want it noted, I'll just have it documented as a consensus of the committee. That you guys agreed that this is the process that you're moving forward with.
I got consensus.
That
Yeah.
sounds okay.
Is that consensus?
Do we have consensus on that then? Any objections? Okay. I see
All right.
nods from everyone. Awesome. I'm excited. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, Rachel and Veronica for working out on it. Yeah.
Oh, and recommendations for the team, in the meanwhile, can go to.
Me and Leslin? Me and Leslin.
Okay.
And Rachel?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, recommendations for the selection team can go to Veronica and Rachel and Leslin. Either of a person or of an organization tab. All right, moving on. Just as a time check, we've got about 22 minutes left, so we can be a bit brisker. I would love to look at the other nomination form about employees exemplifying a value. And this form was also initiated by Rachel, and I edited it slightly and I think this is only one page, yeah. So this
noticed
one.
you have, oh, I'm sorry, Veronica, so sorry, I just wanted to, I noticed you have hyperlinks in this one.
Oh, yeah.
So it must be possible in the other as well. Random note.
Thank you.
And I do remember doing it. When you said it, I was like, I thought I did have a hyperlink somewhere.
Okay, well, I will puzzle over this later. I guess this hyperlink is like the link address and the link text are the same. I was trying to make different text go to a particular address and yeah, good note. Figure that out later. Anyway, this form. So the idea here is to, I guess, the dual purpose of engaging more of the Tompkins County organization in thinking about and understanding the values of integrity, accountability, respect, and equity, and noting and appreciating how their peers live them out, and also finding more people to put on another round of values posters, just so that they can be fresher or newer, or if Dominic's still here, you can interrupt me. Kate.
Are we doing this for one for each of the values or just one for all of the values?
My thought was like each nomination would be for one value at a time, but no real limit on how many, like it's not like one, it's not one winner like the award. Because we could have,
you could have like 4 people, like the selection, one person for each of the 4 values, and then they would be on.
or more than that, like if,
Okay.
yeah, if we get 5 people nominated for accountability, or like, this seems great, nothing weird here, they can all get, well, okay, so what I think, like Rachel and I had talked about, and again, please give feedback, was, Rachel and I, Dominic and I both, was recognizing the nominee with a certificate of some kind and offering them to be photographed in some work-related way and put on a poster if they want. I'm guessing that some people would be excited about that and some people would be like, please no.
Mhm.
But like the current round of values, like the smaller values posters, like, yeah, you can't really see, but the ones kind of behind Annie's head on the wall, there were multiple versions for each of the 4 values in the first place. I don't know how many.
Mhm.
Okay, so we put, and this one is 1 page, so we did mark the questions as required. Just name of employee being nominated, department that the employee works in, the value, you have to pick one, and these like, they aren't sentences. These like extra descriptions of the value are just pulled from the county website. Again, only changed grammatically for the context. And then just how does this employee exemplify the selected value in their work? And yes.
I was thinking back on the last one, the last form we were looking at. So for number 4, exemplify the selected value, or there's something in there about going above and beyond. Because thinking about it, Rod said, like, we should be doing this. This is, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think that makes sense just to sort of reduce the amount that we get, because just in the nature of the work we do, I think a lot of us are living these values just by showing up and doing our jobs, but
Or professional requirements.
right,
Not
Right.
account for
Right.
the work for accountability.
right,
And it's like. It's like,
Yeah,
all right.
right.
yeah, so I think above and beyond makes sense.
Accountability.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because for integrity, it could be like, Oh, they've never committed an ethics violation, why not?
Right. They've never stolen any money. There you go.
Do we want to ask how long the employee's been with the county?
What Kate was saying.
I was just saying, do we also want to ask how long the employee's been with the county?
How long they've been with the county?
Yeah, how long they've been employed. Might be interesting to know, like, you know, if someone's nominated, is like their first year, is it like their 30th year?
Well, but the person nominating might not know.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, that's true. That's a
I
good
guess
point. Okay.
You could ask it. If
Oh.
there's, and then not have it as a required.
Well, we can find that out. We can also just ask HR to give them these names and ask them to give us those numbers too.
Right.
That would be easy.
Because that might indicate that it might matter. If we put it on the form and we're
Right.
asking that number, and
That's
it
true.
doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
I had another idea that say we have one person, if we had one person for each award that got the award, you might have other people that are noted, you know, but this is be a shift and something really different, but at the 25-year award dinners, and maybe we change the name of the 25-year award dinners, it's awards dinner. And these people also get awards there at that dinner and are invited to that dinner. Because right now it's we just have the 25 people who have complete 25 years or more with the county. And wouldn't this, to me, this is just as important as putting time into the county as doing these things. If we really value them, this is elevating their importance.
Is there a committee that works on the 25-year dinner that we would need to like run that by, or?
I don't know about a committee.
I would recommend checking with Heather Buck,
Okay,
because she heads up a lot of that.
yeah,
Yeah. I think HR pretty much handles that.
okay.
But what do folks think as an idea?
I like the idea.
Yeah, I do too. I'm just curious
We could
how
talk to Heather and see like.
they
what-
would feel about
I
it,
mean,
yeah.
I've always wondered that, just in my 5.5 years there, I've always wondered when I've gone to them, where's the other awards? So
Mhm.
there's those other awards and we're making them up now. And here's a way to recognize our other values besides longevity, in addition to longevity.
Mhm.
I
Also,
really-
do the picnic.
oh. Sorry, Kate, I spoke over you.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say you could also do the awards at the picnic.
What's
Oh,
that?
at the picnic, the,
That is a cool idea.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I'm thinking they get
Yeah.
a dinner.
the
they get
dinner
a-
is
dinner is
special.
Huge,
Yeah.
it's huge, it's huge, you get to bring your spouse, and you get to dress up, you get to, I don't know, it just seems really important.
I think the picnic is a great idea for it,
You like the picnic rather than the awards dinner?
rather than the 25-year, yeah, rather than the awards dinner, I actually do like the picnic. It's in front of all of your peers. It's something we did also at the city before we stopped doing the picnic. You know, and it's always, you know, people get to see who you are, who don't know you through the organizations, and get to cheer you on and get to all those other kinds of good stuff. So it's a whole organization basically cheering you on rather than just a small
You could have
subset
maybe
at the
one
awards.
of your one of those questions where you have to go around and find people. You'd have to like find one of the 4 people that were awarded, and you have to like go see if you can find them.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah,
So you have to
part of the
find out
scavenger
who
hunt.
those people are.
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah, maybe.
I
That's great.
like that idea.
You're on a
though.
roll, Kate. These are really good ideas.
Yeah, so at the luncheon, they get awarded there. Because we have a speaker and there's announcements there. Okay,
Extra prizes for people who come up with the most lavish ways to tell awardees how fabulous their posters are.
Amazing.
you work on that.
Yeah.
You work on writing that.
See, I come up with the frivolous ideas. I don't.
Everybody's
Yeah,
got a role.
I like the picnic idea. This sounds fun. And I also think
Thank
the
you.
the fact that everybody in the organization is invited to the picnic.
And you're more than
Plus
yours.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hey,
Didn't we actually launch the values at the picnic a couple years ago? Like we put them out on the table, Rachel?
Yes, I mean, they were launched beforehand, but we were using the picnic as a way to
As a-
amplify
yeah.
them.
oh,
Yeah, so it's
keep
kind
that
of
going.
full circle a little bit.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yep.
So I can only, speak from my experience at the city, and I've been in the city for a long time. So at our annual employee recognition picnic is what it's called. We recognize the 5, 10, 15, 20-year people and more. And we also do the special awards, whether it's the diversity award or the, Department of the Year award. And it's just fun and exciting to see departments who you don't necessarily interact with or others get to see and cheer you on. I think it's just a great idea to use the picnic for this.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
And also, I just wondered, again, I know that there've been some changes around what you can and can't spend, but the WDIC always found a way to get around that because we're about inclusion and retention. And so I wonder if there's something that people can get aside from a certificate. You think finance would be opposed to a $10 Wegmans card or?
Ooh, there's issues with offering gift cards as awards to employees.
What,
Is- I think there's a
Donation, however,
fee,
a
like a-
donation
what the
as opposed to
5-year,
sponsorship or gift. Well, yeah,
I
sorry.
think there's like a limit, but it can be under a certain, like under $25 or something like that. I feel like I remember.
what I just got with the 5-year employee thing was to go and pick out,
Swag, county swag.
a t-shirt or a shirt. I was happy to go get one.
I just think there are so many opportunities to get county swag, and I like the idea, I like the idea of like a gift for that.
For the sake of time, if it's okay with you, I will assign myself the task of asking what the rules on gift cards are and also about giving swag and maybe for a vibes check from HR on how much people like that.
And would it be different if that, say, gift card is donated? Would it be any difference? Versus having to county, like when it's sponsoring or something like that.
That can't make a difference. That can't make a difference.
Thank you, Veronica.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the swag in terms of like water bottles and mugs, yes, but there's like a fleece or like a nice shirt, like, not all county departments have easy access for swag. So I mean, be nice. Maybe upgrade the swag a bit would be just a thought.
Cool. Have
Thank
been to
you.
the swag
That sounds
closet?
good.
Yeah, so I'm-
All right, we have 8 minutes left. I did want to leave time for a brief thing at the end. Does anybody have more thoughts about this form? Do we need a paper version of this form as well?
I would say yes.
Yeah, okay. Paper version, and that would only be distributed through
County
the
department.
county locations. Okay. Great, and we didn't talk about selection for this, but I think we can get to that another time. I also think it's very different from the award in that I am imagining that there will be very little rejection of any nominees.
Yeah.
Since there's no limit on number of people. Okay, moving on. I wanted to briefly check in with our Heritage Month calendar, for what's going on between now and August. Which is not much. August recognizes nothing apparently except for my birthday.
Me too.
Oh, and Rob's birthday.
Yeah, right.
July is Disability Pride Month, which is not something that I found any record of the county like formally acknowledging previously, but we could. Mid-September to mid-October is Latinx Heritage Month. And then October is a lot of things that we'll meet well before then. Does anybody feel called to do something such as write or edit a proclamation or any other ideas for either of these two things, Disability Pride Month, Latinx Heritage Month? And I'll note our next meeting will be prior to Latinx Heritage Month. But it might be nice to have a draft proclamation at that thing.
Can I just quickly jump in and say there are some interesting days and like weeks in August? I know we said that there's nothing in August. Maybe we want to have a free month, but some interesting things going on. National Black Business Month, Cancer Awareness, Nonprofit Awareness, Women's Equality Day. So just tossing that out there that maybe we could find something that's not as celebrated in the other months and see if it works for August.
Yeah, our programming for July is going to focus on ageism and human rights. We're doing a program featuring Elizabeth Bergman, Mythica College in Kofa on, I think it is July 12th at 5. And then in August, we're going to be addressing veterans and human rights. JR and I are brainstorming about an event that we will do during that month.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, and we will look out for that. I do notice that both veterans and older Americans have been or will be recognized for the proclamation in the year anyway. Not that we can't do that multiple times.
I think some of the things that Nick just raised, what we've done in WDIC is, although they may not be a proclamation, there's, during the chair's report, there's a good mention of these things are happening and encouraging people to celebrate and recognize them so that it is in the public record.
Are you saying in the WDIC chair's report?
Right, to the legislature. That, those have.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. Nick, can you maybe email us some of those that you just found?
Sure, it was a quick Google search, but I can certainly,
Apparently there were things I didn't find in my Google searching.
I use the right verbiage in that Google search bar, but yes, absolutely.
How would people feel about a proclamation for Disability Pride Month? Okay, yeah, I see some nods. Does anybody want to help write that? I would like to help write that. Does anyone else?
Which month was that again? Was that
July.
July? Ooh, that's coming up.
And this would be, the full legislature does not meet at the beginning of July. We are taking vacation, so it would be for the July something meeting, 18.
I might check with, suggest checking with Larry Roberts, might be interested.
And
Yeah.
Veronica, if you are able, or anyone else who is interested in writing for that, just, I would be happy to help with that one. Just give me a little bit advance reminder. Clearly, I'm not remembering dates today.
All right, sounds good. I will get that started, check in with you, Nick and Larry, a couple of disability related organizations too, because I'm no expert. You have something?
Oh, and I was just gonna say, jumping ahead to the other one you mentioned, all in favor of honoring Latina heritage as well, especially if we can finalize the proclamation and have it translated into Spanish and Portuguese.
I love that. Thank you.
And flesh one. Right, sorry, I'm just going down.
Hey, if that's available. Okay, thank you all. That's all I had. 1 minute left. Anyone have any other, anything else to share, report, note? All right, with that, we will adjourn. Right on time. Do we? Yeah.
Thank you.
We don't need a motion. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great to see everyone.
Try to
You
keep your
too.
lungs safe in the smog air.
We will. Take care.